First and foremost, thank you all for coming. I hope this answers some of the questions that you might have about some of the changes to the nursing program at Missoula College. I'm Dixie McLaughlin. I'm the nursing program director. We have in attendance a number of the nursing faculty, as well as Mary Nielsen, who is the nursing curriculum director for the Healthcare Montana grant that was behind these changes. And she gets to talk a little bit about that and why we went this direction and the positive good things that it means for you as students. So what I want to do is get started with this. We'll go through the slides and Mary will go through her presentation, and then I'll be here for questions and answers, as well as the nursing faculty. So let's get started. So this is the nursing program changes information session for beginning fall 2016. Some of those curriculum changes include it's now a standalone 5-semester Associate of Science in Nursing program. It doesn't build on a practical nursing program. It's a standalone, what we're calling a standalone option. There will no longer be a practical nurse option at Missoula College. There are 5 schools across the state that offer that mostly online PN option. And those include Blackfoot Community College out of Browning, City College at MSU in Billings, Flathead Valley Community College in Kalispell, Great Falls College MSU in Great Falls, Helena College, University of Montana in Helena. Each of those schools is laying out the options specific for their college. It's mostly online. They have different ways of offering it. I would encourage you to contact that college and find out more about their application process and how they're going to lay out their PN option. So this revamped curriculum for our new standalone Associate of Science Nursing option includes some changes to prereqs, co-reqs. Prereqs that are required that be completed before you start the nursing option include Anatomy and Physiology 1 with the lab, Math 121 or Math 115, Chemistry 121, which is Intro to General Chemistry, Chemistry 122, which is Intro to General Chemistry Lab. Those are 2 separate classes. And RIT 101. Those are required as prereqs that must be completed before starting the nursing scope and sequence. What are now co-requisites are Anatomy and Physiology 2 with the lab, Introduction to Psychology or Psych 100, Sociology 101, and Microbiology and Microbiology Lab. Those are co-requisites. However, we are highly recommending that you complete the above co-requisites prior to starting the nursing scope and sequence. It will set you up for success. The nursing program is rigorous, and you can take these co-reqs before you actually start your nursing courses. And we recommend that you do that not only to set you up for success, but also there are some conflicts between the Mountain Campus schedule and our clinical schedule. And you won't run into those issues if you get those completed before you start the nursing scope and sequence. Things that have changed: you're no longer required to be a certified nurse aide before applying. We don't require that certificate in your application. We have always required the certificate. We never required the course, but we no longer require the certificate as certified nurse aide. Nutrition is not a required prereq, but if you took that because you were planning and were advised to under the previous, before the Healthcare Montana grant and the TAC-4, you're going to be glad that you did, because the nutrition component now is going to be woven into each course. So when you're taking, let's say, maternal, or yeah, we could go with maternal, you're going to, a component of that is going to be nutrition for pregnant women, new moms. If you're in peds, nutrition's going to be a component of infant care, et cetera, et cetera. If you're in mental health, the nutritional component of anorexia, bulimia, that's all going to be woven into the course. So if you took that 3-credit course as a prereq, you're going to be glad that you did. It's, again, setting you up for success. Another thing that is another class that's no longer required as a prereq is the Introduction to Nursing, which was that 1-credit online course that you might have taken. That's no longer required with our new curriculum. So how are we moving forward? This fall, starting spring of 2016, we are starting the pilot of the new standalone Associate of Science Nursing. We'll be accepting 10 students into that new standalone. We are going to teach out the old 1+1 option. So we currently have students that are in the practical nurse, the first year of the old 1+1, and they just started this semester, and so they will take next semester, and then we're obligated to offer them the +1, which is that building on the PN, RN, the 1+1. So we will be accepting 18 students into that 1+1. The requirements for that is that you have successfully completed a practical nurse program and or be a licensed practical nurse with an unencumbered license. So we are in the process of teaching that out. So we still have PN students in Missoula College. So you'll still hear practical nursing. That's why. We're in the process of teaching them out, and then we'll take them through to the end so that if they so desire to go on, they can apply to the registered nurse option and complete that in the next 2 semesters. We also will be accepting practical nursing, practical nurses, licensed practical nurses can apply to that +1 as well until we're through with that option. Eventually, it will all be standalone, applying to that standalone option. So we'll be projected admissions of 18 students per semester beginning spring of 2017. The application for spring 2017 will be that month of October, beginning October 1st, wrapping up November 1st. It will be posted on the website. Can't tell you enough to go to the website to get the most current application. So then we're going to continue the way we have, admitting students both spring and fall. That's not going to change. So if you decide to wait another semester, you could apply in the spring to begin the fall, or you can apply in the fall to begin in the spring. We project that to go forward. Be sure to download a current application off of our website. The current application process, just cover that just so that you're up to date on that. We still require, and this hasn't changed, a 2.75 cumulative GPA in order to be eligible, in order for your application to be considered eligible. Cumulative GPA is all courses taken post-high school. So we look at all the classes, do the math, and your GPA has to be 2.75 or better. It's not, it doesn't matter. Once it's 2.75 or better, we take your application and we put it over here. This is an eligible application. It doesn't matter if it's 3.0 or 2.76, it's all the same. It's considered eligible. Another thing that doesn't change is we will continue to require a B or better in anatomy and physiology. So anatomy and physiology is a prereq. Anatomy and physiology 1 is a prereq. You need to have a B or better in order for that application to be moved over to eligible. If you decide to wait and take anatomy and physiology 2 with the lab, with that first semester, once you've been accepted, you need to get a B or better. You will always need a B or better in anatomy and physiology. And you have 2 attempts. If you were, for instance, to get a C your first attempt and you retake it, your second attempt needs to be a B. If you get a C again your second attempt, the eligibility for all the science courses is 5 years. You need to wait then until that falls off the grid, and then you can retake it for what would be considered your second attempt. We take the grade of the most recent attempt. So if for some reason you got a B and you were going to go for an A and you retook it and you got a C, we have to look at the C. We have to look at the most recent attempt. So I hope that's clear for everyone. The application score criteria, this has evolved a little bit over the past years, but this is what it was last semester, and this is what we predict it will be going forward. 50% of the score is your prereq GPA. Those are those required prereqs that must be completed in order to get into the nursing program. We look at those grades and do the math. That's considered your competitive GPA. That's 50% of the overall score. The next 25% is the TEAS test score. That's Test of Essential Academic Skills. That's a proctored exam that's offered across various campuses. We offered the proctored exam here on Missoula College campus in the computer labs the week that your application is due. So if it's due November 1st, which they are this fall, then that week following November 1st, we'll have about 4 or 5 or 6 different times that you can sign up with the nursing administrative assistant, sign up a time to take that TEAS test. And that's the score that we look at for this 25%. We use your actual percentage in that, so that's what we'll be looking at when we consider this 25%. Then the top students, so if we are accepting 18 into the option, the top 30 students based on those 2 numbers are invited for an interview. They're interviewed by a panel. Every student is asked the same questions. Their panel is usually made up of 3 people, 2 faculty people and 1 outside person brought in, usually from a healthcare organization, could be the HR director at St. Pat's, could be the CNO at Hillside. It's someone that knows healthcare, knows nursing, and they sit on that panel and they score your responses to the prescribed questions. Those are all then taken and averaged and put into the rubric. The final decisions are based on 50% GPA, 25% T-score, 25% of your score on the interview. The reason I have for the predictor test is right now, if students are a PN, in our PN option, they've already taken the TEAS test to get into that. So what they take to do the +1 option is what's called a predictor test. That's written by the same people that write the TEAS test, ATI, but that's why that's listed up there. If you're applying to the standalone 4-semester, you will take the TEAS test. We always want you to refer to the application for complete information in the event that this changes or evolves. So just some of the policy reminders. These haven't changed. Your science courses have to be taken within 5 years of the program application date. All others, including math and writing, have to be taken within 10 years of your application date, or they're considered expired. Students can take an ALEX test or a writing placement test for the expired math or writing if they place into that college level. If you already have a degree and but it's 12 years ago, you can take this ALEX or the writing placement test to see where you place. If you place at a level up, then you don't have to retake those 2 classes. But we will use the grade because we have to have a grade in our scoring rubric for the application process. Students are permitted to repeat a curriculum course 2 times, or repeat it once. That means you get 2 attempts. If you started to take some classes and whatever, life happened and you had to withdraw and you did it in time and you got a clean withdraw from your course, it doesn't count. It's moot. It doesn't count. We don't count that as an attempt. However, if you didn't withdraw from the course completely and cleanly, or you waited too long and you got a WP or a WF, that will count as an attempt. First or second, but it will count as an attempt. The expired courses, like I said before, if it's the science courses, it's 5 years. If it's all of the others, it's 10 years. Once they fall off because they've moved out into the distance, then they no longer count as an attempt. A minimum grade of a C is required for the prerequisites, with the exception of anatomy and physiology. You have to get a B or better. Once you're in the nursing scope and sequence, you have to get a B or better in that class in order to progress. And the reason I'm bringing that up now is I go back to those co-requisites. That's why it's a good idea to take those co-requisites before you're actually in the nursing program. Because if you don't get a B or better, you have to retake that class, that nursing class. And as you know, we've got this tight little application process, and being able to retake it is dependent on there being space for you in that class. So you really want to set yourself up for success and be able to focus on your nursing classes because they're rigorous. And because they're rigorous, you're excellent nurses when you graduate. No nursing program course can be taken more than twice. If a course is not completed with a passing grade on the 2nd attempt, the student is no longer eligible to reapply to the Missoula College Nursing scope and sequence. This is just a picture, and I made some handouts of the advising sheet, which lists this like the old advising sheet used to list it. So it shows you the scope and sequence, it shows you the prerequisites. You see that anatomy and physiology is listed in semester 2. You see that, and that must be completed by semester 2 in order to move on to semester 3. It has to be completed before you can move on to semester 3. So it has to be completed before. It couldn't be completed after. For instance, you couldn't take it in the summer if they offered it in the summer between semester 3 and 4. Introduction to Psych is in semester 3. Introduction to Soc is in semester 4, and in semester 5 is Microbiology and Microbiology Lab. Where we run into issues is with our microbiology and the microbiology lab. They're only offered on the mountain campus in the spring semester. You want to get those completed before you get to that point, because you won't be able to graduate without showing that you've taken all of these classes. And I have those for handouts for you as well. So some registration tips. You might want to build your schedule and academic planner. That's all on the website. When you go to take the chemistry, you have to register for both a lecture as well as one of the linked Tuesday meeting times, and it calls it a lab. And so some students get there and they think, great, I'm done. I signed up for chemistry and I signed up for my lab. Except they didn't, because they signed up for chemistry in that 121 chemistry and it says it has a lab linked. But you also need to sign up separately for that 122 Introduction to General Chemistry lab. That class is actually for our pre-nursing students, and it's very specific to nursing, and that's why it's one of our requirements. You have to sign, the 122 is a co-requisite of 121, so either you have to take 121 before or with. You always sign up for that 121 first. Otherwise, it gives you one of the infamous CyberBear error messages. Same with A&P, they are co-requisites. So you want to sign up simultaneously in CyberBear. The chemistry and the A&P ones are major restricted, so you need to have declared pre-nursing. When you apply to Missoula College and it asks you for what your major is going to be, you get to declare pre-nursing. That gets you into these courses. You shouldn't need college restriction overrides for the chemistry or the soc, even though they are on the mountain campus. And any other college overrides can be mailed to the Academic Advising Center, or I can sign off on them in the nursing department office. Part of that goes back to, you can take 6 credits over on the mountain campus as a Missoula College student, because our courses are cheaper. And so you can't declare yourself as a Missoula College student and then take all your classes over on the mountain campus. So they have restricted that to 6 credits per semester. Not totally, but per semester. The Missoula College webpage, we work on that weekly to try and keep that updated. And it's a bear, but I would appreciate it if you would all check the Missoula College Nursing webpage for updates. And that's my contact information. That's the phone number of the nursing program. We're also linked on the web page. We also have our faculty is listed, and they're linked on the web page as well.